When I first got into the motorcycle accident about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I had no idea of the severity of it. Somebody said that I was medicated and delusional. That's a really good way to put it because I was in the hospital. I remember waking up and being like, hey guys, what are we doing here? They were like, you ripped your arm off. I was like, dude, my arm's right here. I'm fine. Again, not realizing the severity. The day I got out of the hospital, literally the day after like major reconstructive surgery, I had somebody take me to a grocery store. I bought some steaks and I cooked some steaks because the pain didn't really set in yet because I had a nerve blocker and they had me on a bunch of stuff, so I wasn't feeling the pain. I thought I was okay. More than that, I'm just kind of an optimistic person. I tend to always look at the bright side and think things are gonna be fine and we'll find a way. Now I've had about 3 weeks of that beating me down. I was so optimistic about all this that I decided it made sense to drive to Florida just to go to a friend's giving, and it's not just, I mean, these are really amazing people. The guy who was putting it on was just amazing. I'm really glad that I went, but at the same time, I was overestimating my ability to do anything because I had a friend fly in, drive down with me. We split up driving. It was very safe and responsible. But I got down there and I would get up in the morning and have to fight to get this big, plastic thing on my arm so I could take a shower and then get my dressing changed and then I'd be ready for bed. Like, it was not an adventure. I was not like going out and having fun or partying or not even partying, but like going out and even being social. And I felt really bad because the guy who put it on had about 50 of his best friends there and I was invited and I wanted to meet all his friends because if I like him that much, I'm probably gonna like his friends. Yeah, that was too much for me to take on. And I realized, and I ended up coming back early. Now the mistake was I came back from Florida where it was nice and warm and it was comfortable and I was actually sleeping every night to Virginia where it's freezing cold and miserable. And I've been trying to sleep on this, which is just not sustainable because it's a couch and it's a nice couch, but this is the mattress that I had in my car from when I was sleeping in my car. So when I was headed down to Florida, I took that out because I wanted to be able to pack all the luggage. Probably not the most reasonable. I'm talking to somebody about maybe renting a room or renting an apartment or just moving to a different, I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm doing. I was so optimistic in the beginning, I didn't realize the severity of this. I got down to Florida and actually there was some redness and swelling and infection around my arm. So I went at the direction of a doctor to an ER. And it was really in that ER that it made sense to me because I'm sitting there and I'm irritated because I don't feel like it's a big deal and I feel like it's gonna be fine and UVA would have told me otherwise. And the ER doc comes in and he's very straight and he said, hey, here's the deal. If you had a cut and an infection on a normal arm, I would not care. Like, I wouldn't be worried about it. It would not be a big deal. You'd have a healthy body, you could fight it off. He said, but you had major reconstructive surgery. Your elbow joint was basically obliterated. You have broken bones, you had tendon and muscle that had to be reattached, you had arteries that had to be surgically worked on. Like, if infection gets in anywhere, you're going to lose your arm. And that was the moment in which I was like, oh, like this is more serious. Like, this is not just like I'm through the tough part. There's still a lot of tough part to go. Then additionally, it was again, just like the energy. I mean, when I first hit, they say they talked to me about this and it's actually in my release notes, but I don't remember it and the people I was with don't remember it. I was extremely concussed. I either had just a regular concussion or a TBI because I was dysfunctional. I couldn't do anything, but then that was a strength because I could like go cook a steak and it would hurt like heck, but I didn't feel it. And like, I didn't care and I would get distracted and like go, ooh, a shiny thing, ooh, a shiny thing. And then the problem was when I started to work or try to work, because that's one of my big things, somebody told me something last night. They said, Jesse, you work like 12 to 14 hours a day. You're not doing that anymore. And that hurt me because I always try to be productive. I always try to add value. And I think deep down, there's some insecurity that says I have to work or I have to do things to be able to, have value or be loved or whatever it is. But what they said is like, Jesse, at most, you're probably gonna do 2 hours of work a day, and then maybe next month you can go to 3. And for somebody who spends that much time kind of in a task of doing, it sounded horrible. But I realized that it really was a point, that I have to slow down, that I have to figure out a way. And I don't know that anything other than this would have really slowed me down because ever since I got out of prison, I've just been on the run trying to figure out how to trying to figure out how to make up for lost time, trying to figure out how to kind of like earn my place in the world or earn my sense of redemption. And now I'm at a point where I just can't. Like the attitude that I've had that has gotten me to this point of doubling down and working twice as hard and doing twice as much, it's just gonna put me back. If I keep doing that with where I'm at, if I keep doing that with where I need to rest, I'm just gonna make it worse. So I'm having to recognize that I need to slow down. I need to kind of like allow things to rest. I need to not be productive. I need to find value in myself that's not based in the work that I do. And that's hard because again, I've started a lot of things. I've made a bunch of obligations, or I've made a bunch of commitments. I've basically put myself in a position where I feel like I have to, but I'm realizing that I just can't. But as an example, the things that we have to do, like this sling, they gave me leaving the hospital this horrible, like almost paper sling that did not do anything. It cut off the circulation at one point, and maybe it just wasn't adjusted properly, but they also didn't adjust it properly or tell me how to adjust it properly. And I'm one person, and so that was a problem. So got this at the insistence of other people because it's supposed to be really nice. First of all, it comes in like 8 different parts, and there's no possible way that I could have done it myself. And even somebody who had the instructions and videos on YouTube took like an hour to put it together. It has so many adjustment points, but the problem is I can get it on and off, which I was amazed by. I didn't think I'd be able to, but like this hand is supposed to be a lot higher, but I can't adjust that. I don't have the ability to adjust it while I'm putting it on and off. So it's kind of frustrating because then I have to go for help, but that's the point. I need to learn to be better about asking for help. But then from there, it's a question of like, well, what can I do? So I have one hand, right? So these are the antibiotics they gave me in Florida because they were worried about infection. I can't open this with, like, this hand doesn't work enough. So what I've had to do every time I do medication is jam it into my leg and twist it to get the top off. So I've had to innovate, which is kind of one of those prison things, like learning to do with what you have versus what you don't. Every time I've had to do like a bottle or like I've got a shaker so I can do protein shakes, I have to put it in between my legs and twist with my hand because I just can't do it with two hands. Like I'm realizing what it really means to only have one hand or only have like limited motion with this, because even though I can move the fingers, I have no strength. What I realized in Florida when they were trying to do an ultrasound on me because they were worried about me having a DVT or a blood clot is I can do this with one hand. I cannot do that with the other. That when they said my joint was obliterated, they really meant that. The problem is I don't know where the practical limit is. And you would say, oh, just go till it hurts. But like my hand, according to some of the illustrations I've seen, is supposed to be up on my shoulder so that it would reduce swelling. But like I get to a point and my elbow joint just does not want to move anymore. And I don't know if that's like I need to push through the pain or if I just need to stop because it's an obliterated elbow joint. And again, I have that optimistic view, which is really kind of setting me back because somebody had said, oh, you need to walk and do like ride a bike or ride like a stationary bike because that'll really help your immune system. And so I was down in Florida and I was trying to go find the gym. And my friend Morgan was like, Jesse, like what the F are you doing? I was like, oh, well, they said I need to go like ride a bike, it'll improve. They were like, you were like days out of a major surgery. Like you were just in the ER for an infection. What do you, no, that's like down the road. That's like months from now. So I have a follow-up tomorrow with the ortho team that put my hand back on, which I'm incredibly grateful for. And I found out from other people that I'm lucky because a lot of surgeons either would not have been able to or would not have even tried to reattach the arm. So I got really lucky there. So the fact that I have a hand and that it functions, that I can like touch fingers, even if I have no strength, is an amazing thing. So I get to meet with the ortho team. I have to ask them a bunch of questions. I have to ask for neuro to find out if I do have a TBI or some kind of lasting condition, or if the exhaustion is just from the pain and the body healing. Like that would be the ideal, that there's no brain damage or no continued concussion, but instead I'm just adjusting. My body just doesn't have the fuel it needs. So that's why I'm always tired. I always need to take naps, or that's why I can't work for more than a few hours. But whatever the case, I'm hoping for some information from that. And then I need to get with PT and OT. And occupational therapy, if you don't know, basically teaches you to do new habits or teaches you to do things in a new way. And I actually think occupational therapy should be a major part of rehabilitation and retraining in any setting. Because it's, yeah, if you have limited use of a hand, or you're missing a hand, or you have whatever it is, whatever limitation you have, it's about approaching that in a way that's actually meaningful or productive. Physical therapy is more like, hey, how am I gonna get this hand working again? So I know I'm supposed to be like touching my thumb to my fingers, supposed to be stretching the hand one way or the other. Very limited motion. I can't lift the hand at all, which is a little worrisome. I can't lift at the shoulder at all, but they think that may just be the soft tissue damage because I obviously did a lot to it. So I don't even know what my full range of motion, I don't know what ability I'm gonna get back, but my buddy who had a similar injury said it was a year before he used his hand in any meaningful way. So I'm looking at that. I'm realizing that this is not something that I'm just gonna like breeze through or get past in a couple days or a couple weeks. Like it's probably gonna be 6 to 12 months of intensive physical therapy, which is why I'm now back in the town that I left, because I probably need to be in one place rather than bouncing around and being nomadic. Again, that's why I'm sleeping on this couch, or I'm gonna start looking for a place to rent or a thing to do, because it just isn't sustainable to be like bouncing from place to place and trying to carry all my medication and all my clothes and all my other stuff, because even navigating that, even like getting bags out of the car is a lot harder when you only have one hand. Or like this can kind of hold, like if I had, I don't know, a thing that weighed a couple ounces or whatever, a bag that just had like a cloth in it, I could probably hold it in this, but otherwise I have one hand and I have to navigate and I have to like open and close and do all that with one hand. It is humbling, and it's reminding me that I had a lot to be grateful for, and I still have a lot to be grateful for because I still have a hand and I'm still alive, and I came perilously close to dying. And I loved motorcycles. My whole life, literally when I was in prison, Graham and I used to walk around the track talking about one day riding motorcycles again, and I loved it. And the thing is, just because I love something doesn't mean it's worth it. That was why when people asked me if I was done with motorcycles, I unequivocally said, yeah. Like I've gotten my experience, I have loved it, but at the same time, it is not worth the risk. Because this happened at a time that I didn't understand what was happening. Like, I don't remember what happened. I have no idea what I did wrong or how it happened. Graham has gone back to the scene and he doesn't understand how it happened. He just literally came over the rise and saw the bike laid down and saw me just like covered in blood pouring down the street. And he was like, yeah, doesn't make any sense. Like, it wasn't a sharp curve. It wasn't super steep. Like, it doesn't make any sense. You were not going super fast. So we don't know what happened. And when I'm in a situation where it can be that completely unknown and that incomprehensible, it's like, you know what? It's time to hang it up. And for those people who ride motorcycles, just please be safe. I love it too. I get it. I get why you're out there. I know the whole way down to Florida and then the whole way back, I was like, hey, please be safe. Like that's what's in my thoughts, especially down, there were people without helmets, people without any kind of safety gear. And I had safety gear on and this happened to me. So I hope that people are out there living their best life or also being safe, because sometimes the consequences are far more than we really could have imagined. So yeah, I'm realizing it sucks. It's going to be a long road, and it's the little daily stuff. Like last night, I haven't really slept in 3 nights. And last night I just felt like a little kid. I just wanted to like kick my legs and scream because I couldn't sleep and I hurt so bad and I was so tired and I was so frustrated. And I'm having to allow myself to feel that, like to not deny that this is like, this sucks, like this hurts, like this is rough, but to just indulge in that, not necessarily actually kick my feet and scream, but just recognize that and feel that, and then recognize, all right, well, this is what I can do today to move forward. And my life is so much about solving problems and coming up with solutions and coming up with new directions that I actually have to just kind of sit here. Like I've done my little work for the morning. I came back, I went to get some sleepy time tea because I haven't slept for days. So I'm hoping that'll help. But like the rest of the day, I need to probably respond to some emails, have a couple calls, and then just stop, just sit here. Like I had a friend who had a concussion, and her advice was she basically set herself a set of directions if she ever gets a really bad concussion again. And the directions are quit your job and move to the beach. And that obviously is not an option for me. There's no way I could do that financially. I actually am worried about the ability to like really continue to perform my job at the level that I had. But yeah, I get it. I just need to slow down. So I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna kind of like melt into the couch, and I'm gonna look, there's a really pretty picture on the wall. I'm gonna get back into meditation in a more regular way. And I'm gonna focus on what I can do, which is healing and slowing down. Because I guess in a weird way, getting out of prison was like going from 0 to 1,000. And especially with computers and phones and social media, I went from like this very, simple, small life where like I knew what I was doing and I was present and I was engaged, to just being scatterbrained and trying to do a million things at once and take on a million projects. And it's been thrilling and I've really enjoyed it, and I probably will one day do it again, but it's not time for that now. It's time for simplicity. It's time to go back to like, chop water and carry wood. Like what's right in front of me? What can I do? And obviously I'm not chopping water or carrying wood with a bad arm and a bad, whatever. But it is something to remember. And so I'm trying to look at this as an opportunity, because every situation, be it good or bad, if we want to label it that, I try to look at it as an opportunity. So when I went to prison, I looked at it as the opportunity to read and study and meditate and get in shape and learn as much as I could. And in this situation, I'm looking at it as an opportunity to slow down, to get back in touch with myself, to find a better way to do things. It's not based on doing, but instead based on being. One of my dad's favorite lines was, "You're a human being, not a human doing, so effing stop it." Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to do.